Is your father in your life, or was he if he has passed? So 77% said yes, he was in your life and remained there until he passed away, and 23% said no. Was or is he a good father? And 74% of you said yes, he is a good father, or was. Now this one, what was the most interesting to me was I asked, if you are a child of divorce, did your father stay involved in your life? And 56% said no, he didn't, and 44% said yes, he did. So that was a statistic that was very interesting to me, because it is more common, I think, than I realized. I thought, oh, most of the fathers, when they divorce, they don't divorce their children and they stay involved in that. But over half of you all said, no, he didn't stay involved in my life. Hey everyone, it's Melissa. Today's video is a continuation of a series that I have been doing over the years called The Aging Woman. Oh, I've talked about how to still feel relevant as you grow older. I've talked about skincare. I've talked about relationships. I've talked about friendships and spouses and just all kinds of different things. And I've gone into mother-daughter relationships that I did a video on. But today I'm going to, and I need to get all these into a playlist. But today I'm going to talk about my father. And it's kind of a Father's Day gift to myself. So I want to start this video off by saying that families come in all different shapes and sizes. There's a day where you celebrate a Father's Day. There's a day you celebrate a Mother's Day, but not everyone has a mother or a father in their life. If people raise healthy, loved, prosperous, happy children, then they're good mothers, fathers, parents, even if they aren't biologically this, label that we give to them. So I did want to say that. I'm just talking about my own personal experience that I had with my own father. And I know that there are some fathers that shouldn't be in a child's life, and some children do not want a father in their life. So I'm going to give you a history of how my situation was so shocking and strange to me, and how I dealt with it. And I'm hoping the way I dealt with it and the things that I've kind of come to, I hope that will help someone, because it's been a journey. It's been about a 50-year journey, and I'm in a good place about it now. So I wanted to share that and maybe start a discussion on it. And I don't think this is a particularly sad video or a sad journey. It was just my lot in life. We're not promised a long life. We're also not promised perfect parents. Sometimes we're not even promised parents at all, or people that shouldn't be parents. It's sometimes just what happens in life. And the way you have to learn to deal with it, or deal with maybe rejections by people that are supposed to love you, that's how you make it in life and how you thrive in life. So I will tell you my story. Up until I was a teenager and left home, and I did leave home early. I had a mother that stayed at home and took care of the two kids, my older brother and myself. And I had a father that went out to work every day. He was an engineer that worked for the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, and I spent most of my life in Tennessee, a few years in Kentucky, but most of my life in Tennessee. And he was very successful in his career, very well respected, and rose through the ranks to take good management positions. So he was very successful, but that's what he did. And I thought about this. I don't know that I was particularly a daddy's girl. I mean, I've seen my friends, that, oh, I was always a daddy's girl. When my daddy died, it just killed me. So I've seen that with friends, and I thought back, and I don't know that I was particularly a daddy's girl. I think he was just kind of there. I never questioned his love because I don't know if he loved me desperately or if he didn't love me. I just never thought about it. He was there. He did what he was supposed to do, I guess, for the times, and that was to bring in a living and kind of spend times with your kids. He did do some things with me. I was tall. He thought, oh, you'll be a good golfer. He liked to golf. So he taught me to play golf. He would do even those little plastic golf balls in the backyard. So he did that with me. When I turned 15, it was getting my learner's permit. He taught me how to drive a stick shift. So he did do some things with me. I just never questioned his love. I always thought his love would be there. So my mother was always the difficult one, So when I got to be 17, I ran away and got married. I thought, I couldn't live in that household anymore with my mother. So when I married, my father left also. He left my mother, but what he did, and divorced her. But what he also did was he divorced my brother and me. So he basically said, without saying it to our face, really, but he basically said, I never want to see you again. And that's it. And I didn't. So that's the background of my story and the things that I did to try to get to the place where I am now. So over these years, I tried. One thing I never wanted to do was feel guilty that I hadn't tried everything. So I tried everything to stay in touch with him, to ask him to please be in my life. I called him. I would get brief conversations and then hang up. I would write him letters and they would be returned unopened. I would send him cards that would be returned unopened. I tried and tried over the years. And, it was, I would hear about him, but I wasn't allowed to know about him or be in touch with him. He had 4 brothers, and so I would hear about him through his brothers and some of my cousins. But, it would be things like he just absolutely wouldn't have anything to do with this. Like I had heard about a family reunion, and I really couldn't go because if I went, it was either me go or my father go. We both couldn't go because if I went, he couldn't go. He wouldn't go. He wasn't going to be a part of my life. It was hurtful. And like when Doug and I got married, he saw how I wanted to have a relationship with my father. And so he hired a private detective and he found my father. He was living up in Knoxville, actually. And so Doug drove up there and he knocked on my father's door. Bless his heart. He knocked on my father's door and my father said, yes, can I help you? And he answered the door and he said, is this so-and-so? And he said, yes. And he said, well, I'm your son-in-law. And so my father looked at him and said, oh, you're Melissa's husband? Yes, I am. And he said, why are you here? And so Doug said, because I have a wife at home that cries because she wants to have a relationship with her father. And, please, we don't want anything. He told him, we don't want anything from you, nothing. We just want to have a relationship. We want to take care of you as you age. We want to have you in our lives and we want to share ourselves with you. And my father's response was, please don't ever do this again, and tell Melissa not to ever do this again, because if she does, I'll have to move. And it's expensive to move. I don't want to have to pay to move again to hide from her where she can't find me. Please don't ever do this again. And shut the door. So, I thought, well, there's another plan that's going awry. And I had a lot of feelings of rejection. And I'm just going to briefly go through this before I get on to how it helped me. The things that helped me. I felt such rejection because it was like I grew up accepting his love, and then one day he pretty much said, "I never want to see your damn face again." It was pretty much like that, and he stuck with it. No matter what I did, no matter how much I tried, no matter how I begged, he refused to see me. He just absolutely refused to see me. So, you start questioning, what is wrong with me? A parent is supposed to love a child. Why does this man suddenly not love me? What is wrong with me? So I had to work through that all these years. So this is what happened and the things I did to help me get past these things. So a year or two ago, I thought, okay, he's a very old man now. I'm going to reach out to him one last time before it is too late. So I remember I was sitting in the office, sitting at my desk, and I Googled his name to try to find an address. And his spelling of his first name was unusual, so he was he's easy to find. So I looked for his address. I had an idea where he lived, and I was going to try one more time. And I saw his obituary, and he had died like the year before, and nobody had notified me. Nobody had told me my father died. I remembered when Doug's dad died, he grieved and was so upset, and here my father had died, and I didn't know how I felt. I thought of all the funerals I had gone to with my friends that had been those daddy's girls that their father would have done anything for them to stay in their lives. And I thought, boy, they grieved deeply for their father, but I sat here and I didn't know how I felt. I told Doug, I said, my father died. And he said, well, I'm really sorry. And I said, no, I think it's okay. And that's kind of what happened that kind of got me on the road to real recovery. I had recovery over the years, but that was kind of the final thing. And these are some things that I realized. The first thing that I realized was you can't have guilt. I couldn't have guilt. I had done everything I possibly could to stay in his life. I begged him, I pleaded with him, I asked him to please let me be his daughter, please let him be my father, and he absolutely refused. And I had to get over taking self-blame. If I had been a better daughter, if I had been a more affectionate daughter, if I had been this, if I had been that, maybe he would still love me, maybe he would stay in my life. And looking back that day sitting when I read that he had died, I realized, no, I did everything I could, and I was a good person, and I was a good daughter. I never brought shame on the family name. I never did things that would make him turn against me. And even if I had, I was still his daughter. I don't care what my kids did. I would walk over mountains over glass to get to them and help them. That's what a parent does. But this parent wouldn't do it for me. And so I realized that day when it was all over with and it was all too late, I realized it was him. It wasn't me. He was at fault. He was the defective one. I wasn't the defective one. And that mattered greatly to me, because feeling all that rejection and taking it on myself, it really affected my relationships with my husbands, especially my first husband, because we did end up divorced. I was just so insecure about a male's love leaving me, So that was finally over with. He was gone, and I didn't have to take on any guilt or self-blame anymore. What was wrong with me, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. I was fine. He was the problem. The next thing I think is very important is if you need to, don't torture yourself and talk to someone professionally. I think that's always good advice when there's issues that crop up that make you feel less than worthy of love, of affection, or make you fearful of that affection being withdrawn. That was my biggest fear, was that the affection, love, would be withdrawn, because if it's withdrawn from a parent who's supposed to unconditionally love your child, what's to keep your spouse from withdrawing their love from you? So that's very dangerous, and it can help to talk to someone professionally. I firmly believe in doing that, and keep on going until you find the right fit of a professional. If the first one doesn't work, try another one. That one doesn't work, try another. Whatever you need to do to get help. I think that's very, very important. The next thing that helped me a lot was to not seek out or accept too much information. And what I mean by that, my father, like I said, rose in his career and was very successful in the TVA community, which is part of the community that I live in now, this area. So over the years, and even recently, I've had people come to me and say, oh, your father, oh, you were so lucky to have him as a father. What a wonderful man. He was so my mentor. He was so kind. He did this and he did that. He furthered my career. I wouldn't be where I was now if it wasn't for your father. And I said, you know, I can't talk about him right now. I can't I don't want to know information about him because it's too painful. And this person said, okay, you know, that's great. If you ever do want to know information, particulars of how he was in his elder years, you know, then ask me and I'll be able to answer those questions. How he was professionally, what kind of a leader he was, what kind of an engineer he was. And you know, I've wanted to also try to seek out pictures of him, because I don't know what he looked like past the age of, I don't know, 30s, 40s. I don't know what he looked like as a real elderly man. And, you know, do I look like him? I did when I was a little girl. Did I continue to look like him? You know, did he have diseases that I should know about? You know, I don't know much about him. But I've had to monitor myself on seeking that information, because it was torture to me. You know, to hear these wonderful things about this man that I was not allowed to love and be a part of, that was, you know, that was hurtful. So I had to protect myself from that. And the last thing that I think I had to do, and you may have to too, is to let go and build a fulfilled life yourself. That day that I sat there after I found out he died, that was kind of the final chapter of letting go, I think. You know, like I said, I realized it wasn't my fault. I realized he was a flawed person. I realized he probably didn't want, you know, he was so eager to get away from my mother that he didn't want to even have any part of his children anymore. His wife that he had married that was very, very young probably didn't want him to be around me and put pressure on him. He may have felt guilty, you know, and so wanted to avoid me because of the guilt. I don't know. There were probably lots of different reasons, but I was just finally able to let go and realize I could be a good parent myself. I could be a good wife myself. I could be a good person myself. I could be the best I could be, really not because of him, but maybe in spite of him. And that gave me a lot of power. That put everything back into my heart and into my life and made me have the power. I didn't give the power to him. I took the power back myself, and I still have taken it back myself. And this video is kind of a last step in doing that. I did it when he died, or when I found out that he had died. And now, you know, that day that he died, I talked to him, I said a prayer and talked to him, and I said, I don't know if you can hear me, but in case you can, I forgive you. And I've had a good life, and I'm having a good life, and thank you for my young childhood and the things that you gave me and did for me, and I'm okay. You don't have to think about me. I'm okay. And so letting go and looking at your own life and how you can have your best, most fulfilled life. Gosh, that's the best gift you can ever give to yourself. That's the best gift you can give to any partner that you have. That's the best gift that you can give to your friends, and that's the best gift that you can give to your children, and that's the best gift you can give to yourself. So take this what you will. If I've upset anyone or made anyone sad, I'm so sorry. It's just I felt I needed to do it just to talk about how I was able to appreciate my life now. Thank you so much for watching. I am happy, I am blessed, and no regrets. It turned my situation for 50 years turned me into the person I am today. I had to work into it, but I'm okay now. So thank you for watching. I sure appreciate it. Now the next video will be a lighter subject, and I am looking forward. Tomorrow I am fixing a big dinner for the men in my life. I have wonderful father figures in my life. That is my husband, my ex-husband. They're both excellent fathers. My son is a wonderful father. My son-in-law is a wonderful father. My brother is a wonderful father. So I have such good examples. Anyway, those are all my things. Thank you for watching. I sure do appreciate it. Love you all, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days. Bye-bye.